A progressive economic advisor to Joe Biden, Jared Bernstein, appeared on Fox News over the new year and made an absolutely ironclad case statistically, right? We go from the guy in Maine who had no actual facts other than just it was wrong to Jared Bernstein, who couldn't possibly stuff more facts into a short appearance on Fox News. Bernstein appeared to close out 2023 and to sort of set the stage for where are we now and what are we looking at economically looking into 2024. Bernstein is a competent economist to the extent that we believe economists are competent. And there are those who say economists and predictions, they're worth what you pay for them, which is usually zero. Jared Bernstein's chair of the United States Council of Economic Advisors, senior fellow at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. He was chief economist and economic advisor to VP Joe Biden. He now also has a role as an advisor in the administration. He's brought on, I guess, with the idea that he might struggle to explain which metrics point to a strong economy. He did not struggle. Take a look at this.
Yes, now is Council of Economic Advisors Chair Jared Bernstein. Jared, welcome.
Thank you, Mike, and a happy and prosperous new year to you and all of our viewers.
Amen. From the Fox poll, in the next year, 22% say get better, 44% say they expect the economy to get worse. How troubling is that heading into an election year?
First of all, I even want to take issue with the premise, okay? If you look at the polling numbers here, and I apologize that it's blurry, 44% expect the economy to get worse. 22 plus 31 is 53. That means most people expect the economy to stay the same or better. And since the economy is strong, more than half the country believes the economy will be strong over the next year. This is actually a good poll in the hyperpolarized world. Put that aside because that's not what the segment's about.
To an election year.
Well, I think on New Year's Day, a good place to start is let's look at what folks were saying last New Year's at the beginning of this year. You had most financial outlets and many economists assuring us that a recession was inevitable and that the unemployment rate would have to rise many points in order to get inflation down. Go back a year and a half and the price of gas was north of $5 a gallon. Today, as I sit and talk to you on New Year's Eve day, there is no recession. Unemployment has been below 4% for 22 months in a row. Price of gas this morning was $3.11 on average across the nation and below $3 a gallon in 28 states. Now, this combination of lowering inflation, and inflation is on a solid glide path back to its pre-pandemic rate. This combination of tight labor markets and easing prices has led to real wage gains. On a yearly basis, wages for mid-level workers have been beating prices for 9 months in a row. That's a trend, Mike, not a blip. Now, you reasonably ask, why isn't that reaching more Americans? Well, if we look at our two most closely watched measures of consumer sentiment, consumer confidence, they both rose big time in December. One was up 10%, the other a whopping 14%.
And to be very clear, this is the delayed effect that I've been talking about, where we have had 8 months of really good looking economic numbers, but we've had 2 months of that news getting to the average person. And that's the polling that Jared Bernstein is pointing out. Whoops, apologies.
That's 1 month. That's not yet a trend. But it's certainly suggestive that the measures that this president is taking to help provide support and relief to families like the one he grew up in are working and that people are starting to feel it.
More from the Fox poll, only 14% say they've been helped by President Biden's economic policies. 46% say they've been hurt. That helped number has dipped from December 21 and December 22. Why do you think Main Street may be so upset?
Well, look, people have been through a lot over the past few years. a 100-year pandemic, a global supply chain snarl up that led to a global inflation. We've seen geopolitical conflicts and so on. And so I think some of that is definitely in the mix. But I think you have to look, yes, at what people say. And I pay a lot of attention to that. They're the best arbiters of their views of the economy. But I think we also have to look at what people do.
Right.
Now, if you look at just the last couple of months, from November 1st to Christmas Eve, we saw spending at restaurants go up 8%. That's less than 2 months. We saw spending on online sales go up 6%. Overall retail spending up 3%.
All right. So anyway, we don't have to watch the whole thing, but this was chock full of facts and data. And it is truly a pleasure to watch. Now, this is the exception on Fox News. To be super crystal clear, the reason this is notable is you don't normally get this. You normally get a couple of right-wingers sitting around saying everything's terrible, Bidenomics has failed, everybody's unable to afford stuff, and it's all just so bad and it's terrible. And then maybe sometimes you'll get a lone liberal voice like a Jessica Tarlov on The Five who goes, hey, hold on a second, here's 5 ways in which you're wrong, and then maybe she's allowed to say 2 of them before they interrupt her. This was Jared Bernstein at his best, making what is simply a mathematical case. You may notice there was no conjecture, there was no emotion, there were no, well, here are my feelings. It's all, here's what we see in the economy, here's what we see in polling about the economy, which is improving. As a reminder, none of this means there aren't economic problems, poverty, hunger, lack of jobs, lack of access to healthcare. We've got a country of 335 million people here. We have problems to solve. There's no doubt about it. But as even we are now seeing on Fox News, they are no longer able to make any empirical case of this disastrous economy that Donald Trump has been predicting since 2019 and 2020 if Joe Biden were to get elected. A pleasure to watch. Really nice job there by Jared Bernstein. Many in the audience know my first language is Spanish. I learned English later when I moved to the United States. And these days I do a fair amount of traveling, and I always make an effort to learn some of the new language before I get to the country. I've tried a bunch of methods for this. I keep coming back to the app Babbel, because with Babbel, you really can start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for classes or fooling yourself with language apps that are basically just simple games, Babbel is designed by real people for real conversations. All of Babbel's tools are approachable. They are rooted in real life situations. They're delivered with conversation-based teaching. You might have seen on my Instagram, I was recently in France. Babbel got me ready last minute. I got to France. I was ready to order food, ask for directions, talk to people at stores and hotels without having to use my phone to translate. There are studies from Yale, Michigan State University, and others that continue to prove that Babbel is better. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is like a semester of that language at college. With over 10 million subscriptions sold, Babbel is real language learning for real conversations. Here's a special limited time deal for my listeners to get you started right now. Get 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Pacman. Rules and restrictions may apply. The link is down below.